at 7:35 p.m. on the 15th of May. This is the May meeting of the West Concord Advisory Committee. I'm gonna go around and just have everyone say their name to account for you being present. So I'll say, I'm Susan Molodzenek, I'm present.
Nicole Hammond present.
Okay. Anna.
Anna Feldwig present.
Allison Ailey present.
Linda Ferrari, present.
Ann Sussman present.
Great. Okay, cool. So let's see, our first order of business is approving minutes, which I believe I had sent out earlier today. So let me just take a quick look and see if I can pull them up here. Okay. So, Linda, thank you so much for taking minutes last time, and here's what we've got. Everybody who was there, it looks like there might have been one person named Eric, who we're not sure who they were, but I just saw someone called Eric's iPad join this meeting, so I'm wondering if it's the same person.
Maybe they could identify themselves.
Yeah, how would I get to there? Elizabeth, do you see an Eric's iPad on there?
It was, but he's no longer there.
Okay. Been mentioned by name. So let's see if, I mean, maybe we should just put Eric's iPad, because I'm kind of thinking that's what it was. Do you remember?
So if you don't need to list people who attended your meeting unless they're actual members.
Okay,
So that's not a problem.
okay, all right. Yay, Barbara's here.
God, if that was the case when I have meetings with like 45 people, it'd take me
Yeah.
forever.
Okay. Good point. Alrighty, so let's see. We basically had a presentation from from Linda Miller and Elizabeth on the MBTA Communities Act last time. We went through and heard all the great stuff about that and all the different considerations about it. Then we took a vote. And we made note of what the vote was here, so that's good. Then also during that meeting, we approved minutes from February. It's like Ian seconded it. And then we talked about having this in-person meeting during May, which ended up being May 15th, not May 1st. So does anybody have any changes to these minutes?
They were nice and concise.
Yeah. So I guess I move that we.
You have one typo,
Oh, where do you see that?
the last paragraph.
Oh, AA 3rd, May 1st.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Nice. All right, so I guess I can make a motion that we approve the minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Great, thank you, Nicole. I think we need to vote on that. Yes. All in favor of approving these minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. So I will send those in. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. Let me go over and see if I can share our agenda here. This is it, you know. Get to what I need to share.
You may have to stop sharing and then reshare again.
Yeah. Okay, so these actually are, this is our agenda, but I'm gonna just on the fly change this date because it was originally set for a different date. Okay, so we've approved the minutes, and next up is the topic of membership. So I do have one membership announcement, and that is that Ann Sussman will be rolling off our committee to do other noteworthy and amazing things in the town of Concord. She's reached the end of her term, and so she's going to be possibly digging into transportation or other really awesome things.
And I'll get you in touch with other architects.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You need that.
But Anne is welcome to join our meetings as a member of the public anytime, and we are very grateful for her service all of these years. I think we've accomplished huge amounts with you on the committee, Anne, so.
And we got a lot
so
to do.
Yes, I know,
More to
yeah.
come.
It's a drop in the bucket, but it was a very productive drop. Okay, so see my screen because. Okay. So let's see, we have a meeting next week with the planning board, which should be great. I'm gonna be meeting with Elizabeth and the chair of the planning board tomorrow to just kind of like lay out a little bit of what the agenda is gonna be for that meeting, but I think in preparation for that, we might want to take care of some housekeeping items and then also review our committee's charge, because our charge is kind of like the set of instructions that the town gives to us as a committee, and we want to make sure that we're comfortable with what it says, or if we're looking for any adjustments to it, then we would want to kind of get our arms around those as well. But so first order of business for connecting and communicating is we do need a clerk for this committee, and the clerk would be the regular note taker person. They would be doing the minutes and then submitting the minutes to the town so that we can get them posted on our website. And then they would also stand in for me, like at the committee chair's breakfast every month or something. If I couldn't go to something, then they would be sort of the vice person. So I was wondering if there was any person who would like to step forward and nominate themselves to be a clerk.
Or very specifically step back.
So this is instead of like revolving the.
Yeah.
rotating it?
Yes,
They were supposed to have
Supposed to
somebody
be this
actually
form?
assign.
Yeah.
I thought we did.
yeah, I know. We've been sort of winging it a little bit
So,
and, yeah.
Susan, so, I think officially your charge says you have to have 7 members,
Mhm. I think it does say.
yeah, and just a chair and a committee clerk.
Mhm.
So, clerks are, usually what their role was before, we had just regular email type documents. The town clerk actually required the clerk to sign every set of minutes that once they got approved, and that's no longer a requirement. So you can vote a clerk, but if you wish to continue to rotate the person actually taking the minutes, and then basically the clerk would be the one to just review that draft, make sure, things are fine. But you don't necessarily have to have that one person be the person that always has to take the minutes. If rotating minutes works for this committee, that's fine too.
Oh, okay. Well, do folks have a perspective on that?
So it's really just to back you up and to hand in the notes every week.
Yeah,
Month.
Once the
Month,
minutes have
yeah.
already been
Yeah.
taken.
yes, yeah,
And then kind of review them.
right, yeah,
I don't
so.
mind doing that, but I think actually rotating has some benefit.
Mhm.
Different styles, we hear different things. It's also not always easier to listen
Mhm.
when you're trying to take notes at the same time. And I know you're taking notes today, but I brought a pen that doesn't seem to have any ink in it.
Oh, no.
So I'd be fine with if we assign someone as clerk. Oh, thank you for that responsibility, but still are sort of willing to rotate who takes the minutes. It also kind of solves the problem of, oh, John is going to be the person who takes the minutes. Oh, but John can't be here this
Oh,
week.
yeah, that's true.
Because
Okay,
everybody has times when they can't be here. For
okay,
one reason, especially going into the summer.
Yeah, I agree with that.
okay. So we're saying rotate the minutes. Seems like everyone is okay with that. And then having the person who has the responsibility of receiving the minutes, looking them over, I think, getting the feedback from all the other members in terms of changes. And then submitting them, that's the clerk, right? Like that.
Right, and they get submitted, not to the town clerk, they get submitted to, to,
No, you would submit them to Heather.
Right,
and then Heather would distribute them to the committee. You know, with your agenda if you wanted to, or you could distribute draft minutes to the committee. Once they're final, then you submit them to Heather.
Yeah.
And she posts them and sends them to the town clerk.
Okay. So yeah, so the clerk of this committee is the handler of the minutes, but not necessarily the author of the minutes.
the minute taker, yeah.
Okay. All right. Does anybody want to function as our clerk going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I could handle that piece of it, I think.
Okay,
Yeah. I will volunteer to handle that piece of it for now.
okay. I think we need to vote because
Right
it's an
ahead.
official role.
Because we have so many other people
Yeah.
leaning forward. And I'm sure there are gonna be a lot of people who say to me, why did you do that?
Yeah. All right, so
Fill a
let's see.
void, you know.
I'll nominate you, Barbara, and then someone would second it, and then we can vote. I think that's what we need to do. So I nominate Barbara to be the clerk for our committee.
Second.
All right, thank you. All in favor of Barbara being the clerk?
Fine.
And I vote for that too.
Yeah.
I could
Alright.
say nay, you know, really confuse the issue.
Right, this
I
is.
think it's funny, y'all are so used to having roll call votes because of Zoom.
Yeah,
You're not used to just going aye.
yeah, I know, I'm trained. Okay.
Pressing the little button with the hand, yeah.
And not tonight, but after this meeting we have with the planning board, we should do a vote on the chair for the committee, because it's not like automatic that I would necessarily stay chair. Like usually the chair would rotate every year.
Volunteer for that.
And like, honestly, I'm fine doing it again. I feel like I have been learning slowly, but it's gotten to be a little bit better. And so I'm okay to do it again, but I'm also very open to entertaining someone else doing this job because it's fun, but it's also a little bit of work. So, yeah.
Have you done it for one other year?
No,
Second
1 year.
this is my first year.
This is your
doing it.
first year. Oh,
John was chair.
Yes.
And it
Yeah.
typically changes every year?
On a lot of committees, yeah.
On a lot of committees it does, but this seems to be the year that it's not. So the Board of Appeals chair stayed,
Mm,
and who else? CPC chair stayed, so it normally does rotate, but that's usually because there's a succession and the chair is usually their last year, but we're finding like on the planning board, Linda Miller was chair and Andrew Boardman is chair, but she became chair in her 4th year. And so she's still on the planning board for her 5th year. And I think that's the planning board's gonna keep that up because it kind of makes things rotate, but there's no requirement that the chair rotate.
Are you content to keep doing it for at least the next term, so to speak?
yeah, I'm content to keep doing it, but I also don't want to deprive any of you of this amazing experience of being on the committee.
It seems to me, given the amount that we need to do and under your leadership, that it would be a shame that we didn't continue with you so we could just keep running,
Yeah,
within the next year, hit the ground even more running.
yeah. I hear you, like, I feel like we've gotten some good momentum and I would love to
Absolutely.
keep that, yeah. But I also, again, don't want to deprive anybody else, because it's fun, it's a little bit of work, but it's fun. Well, we can talk about that at our June meeting, but I just wanted to sort of broach that topic. Okay, so let's see, liaison.
Or somebody can just nominate you and second, and you guys could vote and just get it
We
over
can
with.
just get done with it.
I nominate.
Oh, okay. All right, all in favor of me as chair again for another year?
Aye.
I'll vote for myself too. Okay, all right, so Susan remains chair. All right. Let's see. So liaison assignments, we had probably talked about this before. I cannot find my notes on it, but I have like vague memories of who said they wanted to do what. Let me just take a look at our charge here and tell you who we are supposed to be liaising with, and then we can add in some additional ones on top of that. So we are supposed to be proactively monitoring agendas and proposals considered by the Public Works Commission and Concord Public Works to provide timely input on public works initiatives. And we're also supposed to be liaising with the planning board. Here, let me put these, let me put this document up here.
So you had sent around a table at some point that had all the different meetings that we were interested in.
Yeah,
Remember
if you think I sent that around an email, I will look
Mhm.
for it and I might be able to find it. So hold on
You
a
did.
second.
Well, and the purpose is not that one has to attend every single of these meetings.
Yeah.
But to check the agenda,
Right.
some
Mm,
of which
See
are
if
much
there's
clearer than
something-
others.
that? Mhm.
And if there's something related to what we're doing or would be concerned about, then to try and
Yeah.
go to that meeting.
And use notify me for those agendas. Just
Yeah.
do notify me for those agendas for you.
Yeah.
to
Right,
review for
right.
your-
Yeah, the agenda, I was doing Trails Committee, which was fascinating. But their agenda is identical every single month, and it doesn't actually tell you anything that they're going to really talk about. Review of trail work, review, that kind of thing, so
It's amazing how many people don't
works for
do
them.
minutes.
And they meet at 8 in the morning here. But it was, everything they do was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I appreciate them, the people with chainsaws that keep
Unbelievable.
those trails clear,
The
you know?
work that they do to keep
Yeah.
trails up to date and reports and building bridges and just remarkable.
It would be interesting to be able to find out when the committees are dealing with specific West Concord specific things.
Well,
You know?
often it will say, I mean, some of the agendas are certainly more specific than that. So the planning board's pretty clear. When they're dealing with 166 Commonwealth Avenue proposals, for example, that's been on their agenda, which comes out. Well, at least several days before their meeting. Planning board's a little bit better at that than some other committees.
So all meeting agendas have to come out at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. So if we have a meeting Tuesday night, the agenda has to be posted, Friday. But if you do, sign up for it to be a liaison to a committee, you can go under the notify me on the town's main webpage. And you can sign up to get a notification when an agenda for that committee gets posted.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Are there committees like the rail trail, for
Yes, there
example,
was,
like,
Rail trail was
um,
on the
You can
list,
sign up for any of them.
but I mean,
Um,
that we want to,
yes.
Yeah, so let me,
yeah.
share
Yeah.
again. I was not able to find that previous document, but I've been just kind of jotting down the committees that I think we would normally wanna liaise with. And of course, there's the planning board, there's the West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee, Public Works, which was in our charge, the TAC, which is Transportation Advisory Committee, Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. I think that's, interesting because it goes through West Concord. Depends on how active they are, though. Like, I don't know if they've,
I believe that committee is, currently they don't have enough members to form a quorum. But I
okay.
believe the select board is looking at, looking to transition, dissolve that committee and have things transition possibly to the Transportation Advisory Committee for some things. And then the Public Works, because Public Works is responsible for the maintenance of the trail, and have them be responsible for some other things.
Interesting. Okay,
Maybe Concord Housing Development Corporation, because a
Mhm.
lot of the work that they're doing is in West Concord.
yep, that makes sense.
Is there a
Is there-
committee dealing with, sorry, MCI,
That's what I
like,
was gonna say.
yeah, is there, I don't know.
Not
if there's a
yet.
team. Not
Yeah,
yet,
Proposed,
But if there
yeah.
were one, I would definitely think we'd wanna
Yeah,
track that one pretty closely.
Yeah, that's gonna be huge, the MCI thing, as well as even before that, the Metro, MBTA
And-
stuff.
Yeah,
because there's gonna be a lot of that, and most of the development's gonna impact West Concord, so.
Is the MBTA, is that a committee? Or is that?
No.
Yeah,
So
we
I know
voted
there was
that
an
in. We
overlay,
voted
yeah,
it.
no.
We voted it, you know,
I
almost
was there,
unanimously,
yeah,
yeah, it was
right.
amazing, wasn't the
Yeah.
energy amazing?
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So-
there's gonna be a lot to happen with that.
There
Well, I
is no
think-
committee for
Okay.
MBTA community zoning. That's just zoning that got adopted. The planning board is currently working with a consultant to develop site plan rules and regs for the MBTA community overlay, zoning, but there will not be a separate committee. That's zoning that got adopted.
Okay.
Yeah,
But that's gonna be a lot of work.
but that, I
But I
mean, we
would
can,
probably suggest, the Economic Vitality Committee.
oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I don't even know about that one.
Is there a list, Elizabeth, of all these committees that we
No,
could
60,
review?
61.
Yeah, here, hold on.
Thank you, because I'm not,
Yeah, they're all
I
in
must admit, I'm
They're all
not,
here.
I don't quite know if I know all of them. I'm sure I don't.
Oh, there's,
All boards and committees.
yeah, Concord has a few.
Oh,
Yeah, so.
oh, no wonder I don't know them all.
Here they all are.
Elizabeth, are there any on the top of your head that you think are, that we should specifically track? Cause we obviously can't track all of those. I don't,
No, I mean, it's the planning board and public works committee. I think, the work between West Concord Advisory Committee and the, West Concord Cultural District. I think you guys should have more of almost like a pairing, a synergy.
Mhm.
It should be something more than just a liaison. I could probably see, and this may be something to talk with the planning board about. But we have I think it's every 3 months, there's the housing roundtable, all the housing groups get together. I think the sustainability director is gonna try and start something for sustainability.
Mhm.
And I think, the Economic Vitality Committee is kind of thinking about doing something similar, around economic vitality. But I think the, West Concord Cultural District Planning Board and Public Works Commission and the EVC would be the top four.
Susan, did you want to make the connection to the? I'm so
Yes,
sorry.
yeah, so this is Sue, she is sitting in the public audience area, but she's our liaison to the West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee, so she's on that committee, joining our meeting today for the first time as our official liaison. So we would love to have a person who's, also going to their meetings to kind of keep an eye on how we can partner together. I think you mentioned you might want to do that, right, Nicole?
I'd be happy to.
Okay, I'm gonna sign you up. I'm not gonna
Write
give
it
you a
down.
chance to rethink
No
that.
finance.
No finance, no finance.
What was
Yeah.
the one about community, I'm sorry, the list isn't up there, community preservation or something?
Oh, that's-
Yeah,
Is that-
Grant awarding monies through an application and grant process for
Okay.
specific projects in the town of Concord.
Okay,
There's what's the percentage fee on real estate transactions that goes into a
I
somewhat matched by the state?
believe Concord's at either 1 or 1.5%.
Yeah, and then various projects in town can apply to that through a competitive process to have money awarded for projects in town. Things like, Wright Tavern in the center
Yeah.
of Concord has gotten some grant money from that. Concord Housing Development Corporation has gotten grant money from them. So they're things that are important to the entire town.
okay.
it all sounds interesting, actually.
I know, it's fun to, I mean, 'cause I can
The Community Preservation Committee is, a very interesting committee. I can tell you, applications start coming in, I think sometime in September or, yeah. they right now meet once a month. Come September, it goes to twice a month. Come October, it's like 3 times a month. Come November, it's 4, like every week. As they review, this year they had 19 applications that they had to review. They have to go through all of those and prepare a warrant article for town meeting on funding of those applications. So, it can be a heavy lift in the fall if you, but, sorry, I gotta stop talking now.
That's helpful.
I mean, just that may come up. I can just see that coming up in certain areas of West Concord, certain buildings or somebody, I mean, I think we should have some kind of connection to that committee, it seems to me.
Okay,
Yeah, once the applications come in, the person liaison can go through the applications, see if there's,
Yeah,
any
relevant.
relevance and then, attend the meetings as needed.
okay. Linda, do you want to do that?
Oh, sure, since I
Seem
pointed it out.
to have an interest, that's good, okay. Let's see, these other ones, I've been doing public works sort of sporadically, they meet once a month, Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. So sometimes it conflicts with my work schedule, but, the meetings are good, well organized, etc. I would be happy to give that up to somebody if anyone else is interested in public works.
Yeah, I was doing transportation and I think when I started, they were meeting in the evening and they're now meeting at 8 or 9 in the morning.
Okay,
So I'm keeping an eye on the agenda. There
Okay.
hasn't been anything specific recently.
okay,
And I did try and get the audio on one of them without much success, but I'll try again.
okay. So you're interested in sticking with that, you think?
Sure.
Okay. All right, let's see.
I had signed up before for the Bruce Human Rail Trail, but if that's not as important, I could do the public works.
Okay. Do you think that would fit into your schedule, being able to join their meetings at 4, like once a month?
Certain days,
Okay,
yeah, is it a certain day?
Wednesdays?
Wednesday I could do it. yeah.
okay. That's great.
Is the Sustainability Committee, is that, I'm just trying to find it on here, is that the Comprehensive Sustainability and Energy Committee, or is that something different?
I don't know. Elizabeth seemed to be thinking that this was something yet to be formed, maybe. Sorry to make you talk again, Elizabeth, but
No,
could you
that's
clarify?
okay. There used to, so there is no longer, yeah, there's now, I think it's comprehensive sustainable. No, so I think there's now just the Climate Action Committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Action committee,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think there's just the Climate Action Committee and they actually like disbanded. Yeah, I want to say they disbanded. Yeah, they disbanded the Comprehensible, Sustainable and Energy Committee. They were
Okay.
kind of this, there was the Climate Action Committee and then CSEC and so that one is no longer. So there's just the Climate Action Committee.
okay, and when do they meet?
Climate Action Committee meets.
you have to go to this. Oh, agenda minutes.
Yeah.
So they just met May 7th. So,
It looks like the first,
Like the first Tuesday each month.
Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, but they would have pushed, they pushed back to May 7th because of town meeting, I bet, just kind of how we had to.
What time is it?
I think it's at 7.
7 p.m.
At
Okay.
7.
I mean, I'm on Mothers Out Front, so it's a really, strong
Yeah.
connection with the
Okay.
work that. So if nobody else wants to do that, I guess, I can do that.
Okay,
what's the
But
planning
climate
board?
action, sustainability doesn't really exist
Liaison.
anymore, is that what she said?
Oh.
The Climate Action
Yeah,
climate
Committee.
action, sorry, okay.
So do you want to do 2?
I don't know, let's. What
There's
am I doing?
a bunch of people. Are there a bunch
Maybe
of
somebody
people
else could
here?
do community preservation then, or I don't know. it just seems like that, the climate action thing is so linked to some other things I'm doing, so.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else could do community preservation.
Planning board, so that's twice a month, on what, Tuesdays? Yeah, Tuesdays at 7, I believe. And definitely we could use a couple people on that, just,
Didn't you send a document for us to sign up?
I did, yes, yes, I
A
did.
couple
And it
times.
was something like this maybe that I just put up on the screen, but, it hasn't gone any further, I guess, than 2023 at this point, but yes, we could sign up for dates that we keep an eye on. The issue is that like people, like it's not in their regular schedule and they have to kind of like force themselves to look at the agenda to see if it's related to West Concord. So it might be good to have like a subset of people at least who are more accustomed to.
I've been
tuning in.
keeping an eye on it just
You have
because I
been?
get their notifications.
Okay,
I get those,
Yeah,
I
I
get
do too.
CHGC,
okay,
I think I get transportation, I think I may still get Trails Committee.
okay,
But it's helpful, it just gives you a sense of what.
yeah,
It takes, 3 minutes to look
Right.
I
at
can
that.
be on the planning board too.
okay, all right.
That, and maybe we can, Barbara, we can
Yeah,
tag team ongoing. It wouldn't work probably to go twice a month for me all the
well,
time.
and
Yeah.
you may not have to go at all.
all,
The last time I signed on to it, because there was gonna be discussion about 166 Commonwealth Avenue, which
Right,
is the ENS. And they made an announcement at the beginning of the meeting that they had asked for a delay, what's the word? Anyway, without prejudice.
Continuance.
yeah,
That's a continuance, at which point the chair of the committee very nicely said, so those of you who were here specifically for that probably want to leave.
right.
So
Interesting.
sometimes that's all it really
Although with the
takes.
development that's coming in West Concord, that will probably,
I think we'll have more relevant things
Yeah.
at the planning board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So sorry, in general, for all the liaisons, though, they're supposed to just look at the agenda and determine if it's,
if it's West
if it's
Concord involved.
West
Yeah.
Concord involved, if it's not, then you don't
yeah,
necessarily need to go. Are you supposed to then just check the minutes after? Like, I just want to make sure I'm understanding what the liaison full scope of responsibility.
I mean, when I've done it in the past, I've checked to see if the minutes involve, or sorry, the agenda involves West Concord. If it does, I will go and try to tune into that part, take some notes and then bring it back to this committee and just give a little bit of a report out on what I learned. So, but I don't think there's any need to be checking back at the video or the
The
minutes or
minutes.
anything like that.
Okay, yeah, look at the agenda, do your best to
Yeah.
determine, and then don't go if it's not relevant, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have John and Greg who are missing, so I wouldn't want to deprive them of the opportunity to sign up for some of these things.
We could just sign them up.
Yeah.
I've had that happen.
So let's see, I don't know, I think Greg actually
Yeah, I was
had
gonna say-
expressed an interest in
He did-
economic
I believe he
vitality.
did, yeah.
Okay. And then CHDC, like. Yeah, we'll just put John on that, but I'll also put myself on as a backup in case he can't do it. So I think this takes care of all of the areas that we're supposed to be covering, plus some, so I think this is good. Awesome.
And for those like community preservation where they're heavy and it might be a lot, like, it seems like maybe
Two
we
people.
can send 2 or 3, like
Yeah.
send an email
Yeah,
around
yeah.
saying,
Yeah,
But you'll find out that when they review all of the
proposals.
proposals.
Oh,
that
yeah.
you- And then you can find out how many proposals, if it seems heavy, then you can ask for backup.
Yeah,
right, and so like, if they're reviewing West Concord proposals, do you think like maybe more than one of us would want to be at that meeting? I don't know, I'm just kind of
maybe,
throwing that
yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could do the first pass at determining resource needs and then
Yeah.
just
Right.
bring it to the committee and we could talk about it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay. And so that's like heavy fall commitment.
And when will the
Do you have young-
MCI, the proposed MCI?
7 and 11.
We don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, MCI
Well,
closes in June, in July. In July, it transfers over, right? But it doesn't transfer to the town of Concord, does it?
I don't think they've
No.
decided. I think it's a
They were
big
trying to pull
question mark.
together a sort of 7 or 9 member group from Concord to try and give input about what we might like to see happening with that piece of land. But this is gonna be a years-long process.
At least.
Yeah.
And Cataldo is part of that, right?
And what?
Is it
Starting
Cataldo?
Cataldo, yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm thinking of the garden center in Littleton that closed.
That's a big job for them.
They plan on completely making it a park.
That beautiful old building right in the front. One of the first problems is the concrete. Full of asbestos.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna switch gears and we're gonna talk about our committee's charge, which might not sound that exciting, but honestly, I've read it and I got very excited about it, but also excited about maybe thinking about some changes, which I believe we need to go through the select board in order to make some changes to this charge. So I put it up on the screen, but I wanted to kind of like walk through what this entails and throw a few questions out as to the applicability of some of the things that I'm seeing here. It looks like it was amended in 2018, so it's not that old, but it's what, like 7-ish years old at this point, am I doing? No,
Six.
6 years old. So anyway, I think it's definitely worth taking a look here. So we're supposed to be examining the issues surrounding future development, growth, and improvement in West Concord Center as defined by the West Concord Village Center Master Plan of 2010. And then there's also like a map that shows you what is entailed there. So let me see if I can bring the map up. Here we go. So yeah, I printed out some maps and then there's another one that is in this document here. I'm just gonna throw it up on the screen. So this outline is the area of West Concord that we are supposed to be focused on. And I was wondering if we think that we would want to draw these boundaries differently, like lobby to draw them differently, keep them as they are. We could make them smaller, make them larger. Ostensibly, we would be focused on what's within that boundary, that like sort of hot pink boundary. And then like the planning board is focused on everything in Concord, including what's within the hot pink boundary, but that's our area of specialty. So I was like, thinking about the fact that maybe we're qualified to weigh in on other parts of West Concord besides what this hot pink boundary is. So I just wanted to open that up for discussion.
Is it possible to make it bigger so we can see the streets?
Yeah.
I always, thank
You
you.
want this
I
one?
always struggle with what.
Thank you.
It's a little fuzzy, but
Oh, sorry. How did I create it?
Do we know the history of why this boundary is as it is?
I would imagine that it was once kind of like the business center of West Concord and maybe, we need to rethink, is that still the center? Is it larger? I don't
Well,
know.
especially with the MCI thing, that's gonna now become
We're gonna have to
the whole
rethink it.
area. It's gonna be
Yeah.
under our view.
So yeah, so this looks like I'm seeing, let's see. Yeah,
So
it goes.
that right
kind
there
of-
is Junction Square. For your cursor. Yep,
yeah.
Okay,
that's Junction Square.
okay.
And then if you,
What is junk?
So wait,
No, that's not
Square.
Junction
I
Square.
think this is
Kenny
Kenneth
Dunn.
Dunn Square.
Yeah,
that's Kenny Dunn,
That's
Kenny
Dunn Square.
yeah. And
And
then
then
if you scroll, that's Commonwealth Ave.
Commonwealth
And
Ave,
then
right?
there's Church, no,
Oh,
that's
right.
the railroad track. That's,
right
that's
here.
Commonwealth right there.
Yeah, that's Commonwealth Ave, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
and then it comes into.
And then there's Church Street that loops around.
That loops around like right here.
Nope, that's Main
No,
Street.
to
Here.
the, yeah, there.
That's
Oh,
Junction
got it.
Square.
Okay, right,
Church
those
Street
buildings that are kind of
loops around
on
and goes down.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's right.
Did this map come from the master plan or some other place?
No, so this map just outlines the West Concord Business District, the West Concord Village District, and the West Concord Industrial District.
Okay,
So I'm not, and this. And I don't think, in the actual, yeah, so when they did the village master plan, that was the geographic area that the master plan took into consideration, were those three West Concord zoning district boundaries.
And the hazy pink in the center top,
The hazy pink in the center top.
right there, right
Yeah.
there.
Right here.
Yeah, well, that whole area, that's just along the rail trail,
That's all,
proximal from the prison.
yeah, so
And
that's
that,
a
mhm.
different zoning district entirely.
and what is that one called?
Industrial Park A, I believe.
Okay, and we own that, not the prison.
Concord.
That area right there, that's gonna be, that's
Not above
Junction
it.
Village.
No,
Or below it.
below it.
That's
Above
building.
above that red line is the prison,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and below it is
Junction Village.
Junction Village, okay.
Well, wait. Yes,
Roughly, yeah.
But right now, there's nothing there, so it's just open space, right?
Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
12 or 13 acres.
undeveloped.
Yeah. And then the dark pink is excluded because it's
The
what?
dark pink, that's a limited business district. That's Concord Park Assisted Living Facility.
Okay,
It just happens to be a different zoning district that facilitated the construction of that assisted living facility.
So
And then Baker Ave is,
Baker Ave,
So
It's-
Baker Ave is, yep, so that's Baker Ave
Very-
extension that goes
yeah,
upward and Baker Ave goes downward.
so this is where Novo. Yeah.
Novo's around that pond,
So.
both sides of that pond.
Right next to this, yeah. I mean, it would seem like that would be something we would want to be focusing on.
yeah,
yeah, underground.
but right now it's not within our boundary of focus.
Yeah,
Um,
that seems odd.
So, Susan, if you don't mind,
Mhm.
I'm gonna keep you out. I'm gonna share mine. So you
Okay.
should see a map of the town currently.
Mhm.
So here's the prison. And if I were, we have the prison,
Huge.
you have Junction Village. Oh, hang on, sorry.
Okay.
Novo is right here on either side of the pond. But you have the Baker Ave, business area.
And
Um,
a big sinkhole right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so this is, right here is, the strip mall, I can't remember what it's called, but
West Concord Shopping Plaza?
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven.
Yes, yeah, 7-Eleven, everybody has their landmarks.
Mhm.
And then this is the, industrial buildings off Winthrop Street. So if you, think about the conversation with the planning board, and the boundaries, I mean, I'm gonna say,
Yeah. Oh,
you're gonna wanna be, all of this, because these
It's huge.
buildings on Baker Ave, a few of these are getting to the end of their life cycle.
Mhm.
And then as well as what was shown on that map. And extend it out to here. I think these buildings are, somewhat end of their life cycle as well. And then we'll have you bring up the map again, but,
Well, and then the area on the opposite side of Route 2, right? Is that still,
this area over here,
no, the
Paparazzi area.
one, the paparazzi area?
yep, that's
Is
over
that
here.
that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
So,
paparazzi.
Okay.
Asian Gourmet is already being redeveloped as a Dunk's. Paparazzi, they'll probably begin demolition probably, maybe within a couple of months.
What's gonna go there instead?
So
It's a multi-use building.
three restaurants and a bank or something.
Three restaurants and, what we heard is the bank, what is it? The bank at Millbrook Terry. Is that a Citizens?
I think it
Citizens
is a
Bank.
Citizen, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they're moving.
Oh, interesting.
That's what we heard. So, but I mean, there's definitely, redevelopment potential for the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, what's the dividing line for West Concord and Concord? I thought it was Route 2, but maybe not.
So there is no dividing line. It's just terminology that people use. It is Route 2, but there is no dividing line between.
Okay,
You're all citizens of Concord.
right.
But generally it's thought,
Yeah.
So is that land area
south
that
of Route
could all
2
be?
and,
Some people will refer to East Concord too, as well.
Yeah,
But it
or
looks
West
like-
Maynard.
It looks
they
like there
say
could be
too.
about 200 acres that could be redeveloped then, because I heard the prison was like 55 acres,
52, yeah.
52 acres, so that's like. it
well,
looks
so
like
the
150
prison is
acres.
currently, it's gonna be this portion of the prison, and it will
Mhm.
only be a portion of this property where the parking lot is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But the town's not gonna know how much the state is going to give up until they figure it out with Mass DOT.
wow.
So I doubt, highly doubt that the town will get this whole, and I'm not
Right.
even sure the town is going to get the land. The town is definitely gonna partner with
The state wants to
DCAM
sell it.
and have that conversation, have the town's input on what's the best use for this property and have, town meeting, rezone the property and, but, that conversation of whether the town actually takes ownership of it, that's still a conversation. It's,
Right.
if you think about all the work that's gone into 2229 Main Street, having the town actually take ownership of the property, financially, that may not be in the town's best interest, but the town is definitely going to be, highly involved in the conversations of, what's gonna happen
So
there,
who
what's
determines
it's gonna look like and what's it's gonna be zoned. Town meeting, it will be the ones to
meeting.
ultimately determine what the zoning is gonna be on that property. But I
And who
think,
determines ownership? Who determines ownership? The state?
State.
I think that's part of the conversation that happens when you start having community visioning sessions. What does the town, want to see there? How do you make that happen through zoning? Through, financing, through all of those things. And I think that's all part of the conversation.
Interesting. So Elizabeth,
But as
what-
Barbara said, we're years away from that.
yeah. Should we be talking to the planning board about expanding our geographic sphere of influence
I
in our charge?
definitely think that's a good conversation. Yeah. I do think
Because the
that's a
impact
good
will be-
conversation.
I think she's absolutely right, because the impact will be on West Concord.
Right.
It's gonna impact on our streets,
Oh,
on
yeah.
whether they walk into our stores. It's gonna be huge. And it's considered as part of West Concord. In a way, it's always been the flag. Oh, you're in West Concord, you see the prison.
Right.
The Rotary and Route 2 are the unofficial split. It seems.
Well, I mean, MCI, that whole thing, like, that's gonna transpire over many years, and I imagine will be one of many committees who are gonna be kind
You'll
of
still be
like
the chair.
playing a role.
I said, you'll still be the chair, just kidding.
And, but also the Novo, like Baker Ave, all of that. And then there are other areas in West Concord that are getting developed on a smaller scale, but getting developed, like behind Rideout, what's that, Conant Street, like the
Right.
houses and Sunnyside and.
Conant Street's
Mhm.
really getting big houses.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
But that's 1440 Main Street, right? Is that what you're
No.
talking about?
No, I'm talking
Uh,
about they're two families, I don't know, there's
Across
just
from Rideout?
development happening in
Yeah.
Across
places.
from right, okay.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
across
Not-
Lawsbrook.
Well, Linda, you live right.
Oh, yeah,
No, I'm
that's my
thinking
neighborhood.
behind
Yeah.
Rideout,
Yeah.
so there's
Yeah.
a which goes to Rideout.
I don't know if there's any advantage to
In
the
court.
town or West or whatever to have West Concord Advisory Committee have input into those areas, but I just wanted to
Yeah,
flag
I
that
mean,
there's development
They're a
going
stone's
on.
throw from the business district. I mean, that's why people want to live there,
Yeah.
because they can walk to the train, and I mean, that's one of the appeals, and you've got the park right there, so it's definitely I think, within our purview.
Yeah,
So I wanna kind of bring the committee back to your charge. You're an advisory board to the planning board. So the homes on Conant Street, those were special permit for two families that go through the Board of Appeals. The planning board's not involved in that, in
Okay.
that process. So, but like 1440, 1450 Main Street, had to testify at land court a few weeks ago, so whatever's gonna happen to that property is, hopefully, we're gonna know soon. But if if the town is successful in that litigation, then something else is gonna happen there, and, I agree, I mean, that's something that, the planning board's gonna be involved in. And the West Concord Advisory Committee should definitely be involved in something, of that scale.
yeah. So like when we think about drawing the boundaries of our influence, should we think really big, like everything that's, I don't know, west of Route 2 from Concord? Should we think about a certain radius around
the village.
West Concord Village, like a mile radius around the village? Or like,
Yeah,
this is a weird polygon I'm seeing on the screen, so I'm just wondering how to think about it.
Yeah, I really think it becomes, like project dependent. And I do think, the original goal dealt with having a committee that was more in tune with the West Concord master plan. And I think this is, probably something that's gonna come up, possibly in the conversation about MCI Concord. When you talk about, the town begins to have conversations about what it is you want to see, and the community, happen there. Maybe this is a great time to look at updating the West Concord, West Concord master plan. So not just thinking about MCI Concord and, but updating the whole plan. I mean, the plan is pretty dated.
Yeah.
So maybe this
Yeah.
is a great time
Can I
to do that.
Can I ask Elizabeth, so when I read the charge earlier today in preparation for this and it referenced the master plan, I went to the master plan and started reading it. I found it to be better written than the design guidelines. Clearer, but I was wondering about, and it's the same question or a similar question to the design guidelines, like who's referred to it? Like, is it, I don't know how to ask the question. Is there any teeth in it, or is it, is the master plan advisory as well, just nice to know about, but no one needs to comply with it, like, how is that? Good
Fit into
question.
the strategic plan, or how
Yeah.
is it enforced, or how is it,
Yeah,
how do we use it?
right,
And so I think that's where, the intent for the committee was when these projects came through to do that, that work on, here's our master plan, here's our design guidelines, and provide the input to the planning board on projects that rise to
based
that,
on that,
rise to that level of review and comment to the planning board. That's why I think, having the conversation with MCI Concord coming in is, is now the time to look at updating, the master plan. I can tell you that the Envision Concord Long Range Plan, that was a 13-member committee. It took 2 years and approximately maybe $235,000 to have the consultant do that plan. So to update the West Concord, master plan, it's not a small endeavor, but I
but
think
it might be important, really
but
important.
I think there's momentum with the state and working with DCAM on the Department of Capital Assets and Management on the whole process for the MCI closure, having it be part of updating the West Concord master plan, because so much has changed. To your point about, whether it has teeth or not, most, master plans and long range plans, when they're well done, provide that and well vetted in the community, and where, the community really takes, responsibility for the implementation of that plan, that's when you see those plans really work. Guidelines are guidelines. But again, it's when, a community is invested in those guidelines, where things end up working. So they're not bylaws, which have, more teeth. They are only guidelines, but it all depends on, that level of commitment and investment.
Yeah. Do you remember, I have a vague memory of when the master plan was done, but I wasn't paying attention, but it was a big deal, and it was a big group of people, and they tried to be very intentional about it. And how do you get funding? Like, how does that happen? Like, how does it get decided that, okay, we're going to, like, is that within this committee's purview to say it's time to update the master plan? Like, how does that?
I think that's item 2 on your well, item 3 on your conversation with the now it's item 4. So your conversation with the planning board starts with your charge.
Okay.
The area geographically, what is the committee going to be, watching and commenting on, what, that it's not everything south of Route 2, but is it everything from Ornac and over to the prison and south of Route 2? Possibly, yeah. Something's going to go in across from Emerson Hospital on the, that land. And I think that's well within an area, sphere of influence.
Right.
And then, then it's about the updating the master plan, and then updating, the design guidelines. But as far as, even the planning board doesn't have the ability to fund those, or, just say, here's money. That has to go through the whole financial budgeting process, whether it's a capital expense that goes into the whole capital planning. That's how some larger, that's how larger things get funded. They go through the whole capital planning project. But I think with the MCI Concord, there's an opportunity to, availability, hopefully for funds. I think there is the intention from the state to back up this, the whole MCI Concord, I'm gonna say, visioning process with funds to do that. And so I think, that's a good conversation to as part of that MCI Concord process, we'd like to update the master plan and the design guidelines. And, the state could say, hey, that sounds great, we'll assist you with hiring a consultant to help you with that.
Wow,
That would be great.
that would be great.
I love that vision.
Yeah.
Okay, so some other topics within this charge. I want to draw your attention to, let's see, maybe I can pull it up on the screen. But anyway, it's on the second page of these, number 3, about voting members having a connection to West Concord. And I was wondering if we wanted to adjust that. Let me see if I can pull it up.
I thought that seemed light. I don't know if
Yes.
that's your reaction.
Yes.
Have a
I have a,
connection
con- I
to
mean, yeah, that seemed odd to me that,
at least.
I mean, I guess I don't actually know. Does everyone here live in West Concord? That's what I
I thought it
assumed.
had
I thought
to.
you had to live in
Yeah, I
West
thought it
Concord.
I thought so too. Yeah,
Although I guess there are probably business owners who may not
right,
live in West Concord.
yeah. But
Will
so,
live or work, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah,
So the way this reads to me is like 3 voting members. So we have, I think, 7 voting members and 2 associates on our committee right now. So 3 voting members, which is like less than half of the voting members, if I'm doing my math correctly, have to have a connection to West Concord. So you could have someone who doesn't live in West Concord
Or
maybe,
Concord at all.
or Concord at all.
Yeah,
who
no,
would
I
end up on our committee.
I think.
And they wouldn't even own a business in West Concord. They might not be like a renter in West Concord. They would just be a random person from somewhere. So I was thinking we might want to tighten that up a little bit.
Yeah, that should change.
Yep.
That should change.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, what do you all think is the right, sort of, requirement to put there? Do you think
All.
like
I think all.
everyone should?
Should have a
have
connection.
a connection to West Concord?
So live or work, they
Live or
should
work.
live or work
Or
or own a
live-
business.
live or
Live
own a
or
business.
own a
Does that
business.
mean that
Live
if
or
you
work
live
or own a
in-
business in
yeah,
West Concord and you'll be
One at a
committed.
time. Hold on. Let's have Barbara first.
Does that mean if you live in Concord proper, many of whom shop and do things in West Concord, that you then would not be, I actually think that might be a good idea to have people from the entire community, not everybody, but it might broaden what we're thinking about a little bit to have people who just live in other parts of Concord possibly participate. I guess I don't see why it only has to be people who live in West Concord. I mean, I think that's a piece of keeping us separate in some way that isn't necessarily healthy.
Maybe, or if the purpose of this committee is to give the planning board and others a closer to the ground view of West Concord, then perhaps the people who can give that are the people who are connected to West Concord.
Yeah, but can't you be connected and not live here? You could live on Main Street in the center of town and still be connected to West Concord because you shop there, or you go on the bike trail that goes through there, or you visit your relatives at Junction Park.
My sense is you should be, and not to cut you off, but my sense is you should be live or work in West Concord. I know that in some towns, in some cities, you can't even work for the town. If like in Somerville, you have to live there to get on to work for the town.
Well, that
makes
used
it
to be
totally
a
different.
problem in a lot of towns, and then they've discovered people can't afford to live here.
Yeah,
So you
that's-
can't require a
But some
firefighter or
require
policeman
that.
to
I
have
think
to live in
Somerville does
town.
require that, even the people who
But-
work for them.
But I think it's important to keep our perspective and our vision open and broad.
Mhm.
And if all of us already live here and are focused on what's going on there, I think in many ways, we're all looking at the same thing. And that it would be valuable to bring in people who have a connection. There are very few people, I'm gonna guess, who live in the town of Concord who don't pass through, use, or in some other way go to what we refer to as the center of West Concord. I think that they're gonna have a different perspective that's equally valid and might broaden a little bit about the kinds of things that we think about. If you don't think there are people in the entire town who are thinking about what's gonna happen with the land at MCI, you're wrong. Everybody is thinking about it. So why not include those people? Not everybody. I agree that most people, and I don't know how you divide the number,
Mhm.
but I would hate to restrict the entire committee. Somebody, I mean, it took us a while to fill this committee up as it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
So the likelihood, but maybe we try and reach out and bring in somebody else who experiences West Concord differently than those of us who live here, but still lives in the town. That's just my perspective. And you should all know I'm a psychologist, so.
You know, I think that that is valid. I think I would just hate to have someone not from the town of Concord serving on our committee, and so I'd love to tighten up that loophole, but maybe we would say, you know, a couple of voting members could be non-West Concord,
can I-
Concord
can I
residents or something
Jump
like
in
that.
for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not even sure the select board appoints people unless they are citizens of the town.
Right.
They have to be.
Yeah,
They
Well, I
may
remember-
appoint a local business owner
yeah, a business owner, right? We did, yeah.
or a property owner.
Have one of
not-
those. Hand those out.
And I don't know what the difference is between a resident or a tenant. If you are a tenant, would that just be a business?
A
tenant?
renter?
Or because I think if
No,
you're
a
a tenant,
tenant is still a citizen of the town, whether
Right.
you're
right,
an
right.
owner or. But
But how
a
is it
local
different?
business owner may not be a resident of the community.
Well, could we
We
word
say
it
a majority of voting members should have a connection to West Concord?
Or 2/3.
I was gonna say 2/3.
2/3? Yeah,
Well, if we're defining connection more loosely, I would say all voting members have to be residents of Concord and have a connection to West Concord.
But then that would preclude business
They're-
owners who might live in another town, but have like a shop in West Concord.
Okay,
Didn't she
shall
just
have a
say
connection.
Planning board will not accept anybody that isn't in Concord. Didn't you just say that, Elizabeth?
I'm not sure this, well, the planning board still only makes a recommendation. It is still the select board that appoints committee members. I'm not sure the select board appoints anybody to any committee. Unless they are a Concord citizen.
Well,
Or
so-
they may appoint property owners that don't live in the town or a business owner.
The business owner, because I know the West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee used to be led by Kate, who is the proprietor of West Concord, was it Conservancy? Is that what it's called? And she lives in Sudbury, but
Oh, Kate,
she
you mean?
operates
Yeah.
a
She
business
lives in
here.
Concord.
Oh, I thought she lived in Sudbury.
No, she lives in Concord.
Huh, okay.
Unless she moved.
Oh, she,
she still lives in Concord.
Yeah.
oh, she does.
Yeah,
Okay.
and all of her kids went to Concord School.
Oh, okay, so then I'm mistaken. I
Yeah.
thought she lived in Sudbury for some reason. Okay, so let's see. So we want to make sure that everybody is
can we find out that answer, whether everybody has to be
Concord
Concord
resident.
residents.
Because that would make the
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. I'll find out.
Okay, great. Let's see. What other questions did I have? I think maybe a lot of these have been, well, the last one that wasn't answered was related to stewardship of open space. And maybe some of that is inferred in the reference back to like these, like master plan, which would have probably covered some open space ideas and whatnot. But I guess I just wanted to make sure that we are it's within our purview to focus on not only like the built environment or what could be developed, but also what is remaining undeveloped, and we could, you know, be a champion for that too.
Yeah,
I
that,
think that's a conversation you have to have with the planning board.
Okay.
Number 5.
Cause there's very few things that are planning board purview as far as open space. If it's part of a development project. But you know, other than that, it may be Natural Resources Commission, it may be the Rec Commission, and then sorry.
There she goes again. Allergies are
Cold or
getting.
allergies?
It's
Heard
allergies.
so many people coughing today.
Yeah, everybody at work was sneezing too, yeah.
All right, so what Elizabeth was saying is like, if a development is proposed, then we can weigh in on how much open space the developer is required to set aside amongst their built structures, but just random open space, I don't know that.
Isn't that already a part of
Right.
it? Because that's what we saw with 166. It was one of the issues that they didn't have enough open space.
Yeah.
Right, because it's part of
Yeah.
the formula.
Elizabeth shaking her head, yes.
Yeah. Right. But like if we were talking about like Rideout Park, or I don't know, like, the grassy lot that is 13B right now, we don't really have too much control over that.
For Kenny
as
Dunn?
WCIC.
the
Well-
master plan, the West Concord
Mhm.
master plan has a whole sections on open space and recreation, like
Okay.
detailed sections. I don't know, that doesn't necessarily mean we have things to say about it, but the master plan definitely talks about that,
Okay.
and natural resources and things like that, and are
Okay.
pretty specific in some places.
Oh, that's good. Okay. So we would, I guess, refer back to that if we had concerns about something happening in town that was impinging upon open space.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. Did anyone else see things in here that you thought would be in need of updating, or that we want to talk over with the planning board?
Well, it doesn't talk about under the C membership requirements and expectations. I didn't see it, that we would be liaising, whatever the word is, on a regular, not regular basis with the planning board, but it doesn't require us to do that, does it? And it seems like that's something we should be required to do,
yeah.
since we're a subcommittee of the planning board.
Yeah, well, so under responsibility, like under the first
Right,
part,
right.
it talks about serving as a resource for the planning board.
And
right,
even
input.
encourage public awareness of projects and initiatives.
I think,
I had a-
I think the
doesn't
planning
really-
board chairman wants to kind of start talking about, maybe, twice a year,
That's what I
having,
wrote down, 2 times a
Yeah.
year.
having like a joint, like a
Yeah.
joint meeting, kind of like what you're gonna be doing on Tuesday, a check-in probably in, May or June after town meeting, and then a check-in at the fall. I would say probably like October. That kind of gives a little bit more time if the warrant, before the warrant closes, so the planning board's already started developing their goals and projects for this coming fiscal year. So I
Yeah.
think now is a good time to have that, and then probably in the fall, and I think that's definitely something the planning board chairman's wants to discuss with the board, with the committee.
That sounds great. Yeah, we definitely want to get in alignment, and I think there's, is there a parking study still underway? And we definitely want to learn more about that. We just kind of want to be scooped
Yeah,
in on what's
I want to
happening.
be really careful. There's no parking study. The planning board is looking at the zoning, the parking requirements in the zoning bylaw.
Mhm.
Different than a parking study. So like a parking study was done in 2000 and I think it was 12. And that was like looking at all the public parking and the parking lots and, doing an actual parking study. And that is not, the planning board is looking at the zoning bylaw requirements for parking.
Okay,
But yeah, no, that's definitely something, that's on the planning board's list and, they're gonna want input from, West Concord Advisory Committee, Economic Vitality Committee, and a lot of people on that.
okay. And but are you guys using, or is planning board using a consultant for that zoning bylaw review? For some reason, I thought there was a third party involved somewhere.
There is, they have a traffic and transportation engineer assisting them with doing, looking at other communities, looking at best practices, and assisting with doing that.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, we'd love to learn more about that.
I had a question about number 5. So do we have the first 2 bullets? Because I.
Thank you. I had the same
Yeah.
question about that.
We have a lot of number 3, the general skill.
We do.
But it's a good point. Like, I was thinking, do we need to become more familiar with zoning to play a bigger role in the
Yeah.
conversations that seem to be happening?
Or do we need to reach out and get somebody who already knows that to join the committee?
I think that's what Anne was alluding to in some ways, in regards to architects,
Yeah.
because we've heard a lot of times we need a architectural review design board, which would take part of the specific skills of architecture, planning, site design, etc. But yeah, I think if anybody that has those skills. Sorry, I spoke out of turn.
No, that's okay.
No, I think that's right and accurate. And I also think, and it's related that, maybe it doesn't go here, but everyone on the committee should be familiar with the master plan.
Mhm.
Like, know what's in it, know how to refer to it. It's very hard to access online, because at the town, it's broken up into
And
every section, so you have to
Oh,
Click
click
on
and
each
click,
one, I know.
and it's really, so.
Is there no merged document, Elizabeth?
No, if any of you want an actual printed copy, you can come into the planning division and get one.
I would do
For like planning board or, West Concord Advisory Committee,
Oh,
they're about $52 a piece to print.
wow.
So,
Jeez.
we print some, but we have a stack. So for West Concord Advisory Committee and the planning board, all new members, should be getting a copy. So you're all welcome to, come in and pick one up.
Can somebody come in and get one for each of us? Like, can one of us come in and just pick them up for the group?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
actually, when this meeting is over,
Oh, okay,
We
okay.
can, Elizabeth.
when this
will be-
meeting is over,
Are we meeting here?
Heather's sitting in the office. Waiting so she can walk up.
I have to admit, I was so focused on the design guidelines when I first joined. I don't even think I knew that there was this 2010 master plan. I'll be
Yeah, it
totally
was
honest.
kind of not on my radar either.
Oh,
to be honest.
I don't have printed copies of the West Concord master plan. I have printed copies of the actual town's Envision Concord plan.
Oh, we were talking
But
about.
if you
the
want
terms.
copies of the West Concord master plan, send an email to, Heather.
Okay,
And, she'll print one out for you. Cause it's
Maybe
colored,
we
it's
should-
pretty.
Maybe we shouldn't each send her an email, maybe one email asking for 7 or 8
yeah,
copies.
so we can ask for it, and we're gonna be back here again if you guys are coming in person next week, and maybe if she wanted to make them available for
Right.
us, we can pick them up next week, if that would work.
Or, I mean,
Yeah.
That's fine.
if it were all one document and we had it electronically, wouldn't that be okay?
But that's the problem. It's too hard to read
It's-
online.
Yeah, it's like in
Well,
chapters.
do all 6 of you want a copy? A printed
Yeah.
copy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let
Now I
Heather know.
understand why you said it cost $52 to print
No,
it.
no, that's
Because
the-
you were
that's the
thinking about
Envision
long
Concord
range
plan,
plan, Which is this thick.
I don't know, should we also have that though, Susan? I mean, I don't.
The long range,
That's easier to read on.
That is
Is it?
easier to
Yeah.
read
Is it?
online.
Okay.
I've read, yeah, you can access the whole thing for some reason.
Yeah.
so yeah, maybe we'll
What the zoning
start with
bylaw?
this master plan, since it's alluded to in
Yeah.
this charge document, yeah. The task force. Yeah, the master plan.
Well, maybe the zoning bylaw too, like,
For what?
Well, it
It's-
says we're supposed to have. Or have a member familiar with, but if we don't have members who are familiar, maybe we all need to get more familiar with. The zoning bylaw.
We have
Well,
copies of those.
We got
We can
more
provide
than
you.
one, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I think, yes, knowledge is power. We should have this stuff and we can start getting familiar with it, even as folks who aren't trained as architects. I think we can understand it to a certain degree. Okay,
But I guess knowing what outages we have and these skill sets,
yeah,
how do we, I don't know, I guess, communicate that and seek out, put out the feelers for those types of
Yeah.
skills? Like, is
Right.
that something we all should be actively, well, I don't know, I guess we're full right now. The committee is
we have
full.
one what do you call it, associate member role open from what I saw this morning when I was looking at our roster of who's on the committee. So we
Okay.
could bring a person on in an associate role and then they would transition into a full role.
Well, Greg's got some of this background.
He's got a little bit of it, yeah,
Right.
as a person in construction,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you said John does
He-
what?
John
environmental
is
stuff.
an entrepreneur and he runs a battery company.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not zoning or.
Yeah.
The architecture piece, I think, is now a missing link here.
Yeah. So we should be putting out feelers in our networks for folks who have these skills. Architecture, planning, site design, engineering, environment, and natural resources, sustainability, and commercial development.
I do know an architect in Thoreau Hills. Maybe I'll ask him if he's interested.
So yeah, so that would, I think, make our crew a little bit more rounded out. Not that we're not fabulous, but we can always use more talent, right?
Since Anne's rolling off, who's rolling in?
Someone I think has taken her full position, so, I think it could have been Greg who rolled in, honestly,
Okay.
to her full position.
Yes.
And then, Allison, you're in an associate role right now.
Right.
Yeah. And you'll take the next full position that comes available.
And when is that, does that happen on a schedule or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a schedule. I
Susan
think
and
it's-
Barbara go off next year. Susan, Barbara, and Anna go off next year. But if you've only done one 3-year term, you can do an additional 3-year term.
Yeah. I have to go next year because I'll be like 6 years.
Why?
I think because I'm doing the end of somebody.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Oh.
yeah,
So if you fill an unexpired term, that does not count as your
Yeah,
full
right.
3-year term.
Mhm.
So that's how I had a zoning board of appeals member stay on the board as an associate and full member for about 16 years.
Yeah, I was on CHGC for 11, yeah.
Yeah.
Started off filling in somebody else's, yeah.
Okay, so I think we are nearing time here. We've talked about a good amount of things, I think. Let's see, we didn't get to our review of the design guidelines, but I think that's okay. We've gotten our feet wet with that and we can turn our attention to the master plan
Mhm.
instead. And we'll be getting copies of that probably next week. I'll send a message to Heather to ask her to print a bunch off for us. Who's gonna be able to come here to the planning board shared meeting in person? Are all of
Next
you?
Tuesday?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm planning
Yeah.
to.
okay, me too, yeah. Nicole, do you
Is
know?
here,
or
like,
did
in this
check your
room?
Schedule? Yes, I believe so, yeah. And hopefully we'll have John and Greg available for that also.
Yeah, I have it in my schedule. And it starts at 7.
Let me,
Yes.
let me check about the meeting. I can't remember if the planning board is in person or. I
Well,
think
they
it
do
might be
both.
virtual.
They do, I know they do virtual. But I thought it was both.
I think it was hybrid. I mean, we'll have to check for sure, but I think for some reason I thought.
That'll be pretty funny if we all show up here.
Yeah.
It's not here.
And they're all like
They're
sitting
at
on
the
their
computer.
couches. Yeah.
So it is hybrid.
Okay,
Okay.
great. All right, so I think some topics that we can talk about with the planning board, in addition to all the ones that we've tabulated during this meeting, are a bit of like some holdovers, which are the idea of the Greenway and how we might try and activate that, or like, where does that belong as an idea? And then also, doing a multi-committee walkthrough of West Concord Junction / the village, just to get eyes on some of the challenges that we've all identified and have it fresh in our brain as we're debating all these different developments. Okay, and then actually one really big thing that we need is an update to the WCAC webpage after we meet with the planning board, because I have a feeling some things are gonna change after we meet with the planning board, but our webpage is like, I think it's being helped along by Elizabeth and Heather to the extent that they can, but it's kind of like boring and it doesn't really explain the great stuff we're doing anymore. So maybe at our next meeting, we might want to think about what belongs on this page other than just like our list of meetings and then these links to different documents. Does that make sense?
It is boring.
We're much more exciting than this. Like, if you look at other committees pages, like for instance, the West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee, they have like some visuals of the different events that they're doing, and it just seems a lot more fun. And I think that we are fun too, just in a different way.
We can give them links.
Does anyone have web skills? I don't.
No.
I don't know that I do.
No,
for
no,
this
we-
presentation.
They do.
Oh, they,
Yeah, if you have graphics you wanna add, or, you know,
Yeah, we can.
you just work with Heather and I, and we'll make whatever changes you want.
Oh, cool.
That's great. Okay, so,
Photographer too.
yeah, we could have a picture of ourselves, right?
No.
there should be a link to the, well, the master plan, the West Concord master plan. on there,
Yes,
shouldn't there?
there should be, and I'm not sure I'm
Especially-
seeing it, yeah.
There is, that's how I found it, but it's not called it's called, if you go to our, it's under like either vision of, one of those two.
Okay,
So it's not simple.
And see, there it is, the master plan, it's all
Oh,
those
17
different
different
things.
all these things, oh, yeah, okay,
So you have to click on each
oh, yeah.
and read them and.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn this meeting for the
Oh, can-
second.
Can I just add one more?
Oh,
thing?
sorry.
Should we all try to read through that by the next meeting? Not next week's meeting, but a month from now?
Yes,
Okay.
I think that would be good.
But we're getting hard copies of the West Concord.
Of
I
that,
wonder
yes.
if, could it be made one document
If
there?
you merged it all, yeah,
He merged, but also maybe separate, because there might be reasons
Yeah.
to have it separate.
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
just be a final bullet where it's all merged.
Right,
yeah,
because I think there are,
Yeah, Heather and I can make that happen.
okay,
awesome, okay.
But we still want the printed
yeah,
copies, right?
yeah,
Of course,
definitely. do.
no worries.
Thank you.
No, bedtime reading.
Yeah.
I just, my eyes go crazy on the computer. for
Yeah,
so
mine do
long.
too,
Oh.
I
yeah.
guess before we adjourn, Wendy, what would you like to contribute to our crazy meeting over here?
I think it's great that you guys are looking at your charter and revisiting it. I think, you know, as the select board just talked about our roles and encouraging people to do just what you're doing, which is fantastic. And the other thing I'll just comment, because I just read our policy on committee appointments, and it does say in our policy that in most instances, all committee members are residents of the town,
Mhm.
unless there's a specific exception or skill. So
Okay.
on the Economic Vitality Committee, they explicitly ask for, you know, store owners there. So
Mm.
Yeah, I could see, yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know, I think keeping it to residents is fine unless you want someone else to be included. So
Okay.
it's all good.
Okay.
It's great. It's good work. You guys are busy.
All right, so I'm making a motion for us to adjourn.
Which
Second.
Okay,
Susan, you don't have to do, all you have to do is say, with
Meetings.
no business left on the agenda, I adjourn the meeting.
okay, with no business left on the agenda, I adjourn the meeting. Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.